Welcome to the West Wing Week, your guide to everything that's happening at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But first, a brief message from the Secretary of Energy, Stephen Chu.
Joining the discussion on my Facebook page is no substitute for a PhD in physics. However, it's a lot faster, cheaper. So, go to facebook.com/Stephen Chu.
This week, April 23rd to the 29th, or Doing the Math. On Friday, April 23rd, in the Rose Garden, the President hosted a naturalization ceremony for members of the military.
That I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
These 24 young men and women earned American citizenship by serving in the armed forces.
It is a great honor to serve as your Commander-in-Chief, and it is my greatest pleasure to be among the first to greet you as a fellow American.
And on Sunday, April 25th, Vice President Biden joined the President at a memorial service in West Virginia for the 29 miners lost in the tragedy at the Upper Big Branch mine.
The men we remember today went into the darkness so that we could have light. They embraced a life of hard work and a career full of peril. It was dangerous work, and they knew it, but they never flinched.
On Monday, April 26th, the World Series champion New York Yankees visited the White House for the 27th time, one for each of their World Series victories.
That attitude, that success, has always made the Yankees easy to love, and let's face it, easy to hate as well.
On a rainy Monday evening, President Obama spoke at the Presidential Summit on Entrepreneurship to deepen ties among business leaders, foundations, and entrepreneurs around the world.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Washington.
We are doing here to promote opportunity. Redounds to us in all sorts of good ways.
Yeah. And builds connections and networks with people. Right.
Yeah,
on Tuesday, April 27th, the President addressed the first meeting of his Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform. The President created this bipartisan panel to work on ways to cut the deficit in both the short term and the long term.
In theory, there are few issues on which there is more vigorous bipartisan agreement than fiscal responsibility. But in practice, this responsibility for the future is often overwhelmed by the politics of the moment.
Later that day, the President left for the Midwest to continue his White House to Main Street tour, making several stops in the heartland. He started at the Siemens factory in Fort Madison, Iowa, where workers make wind turbines, each of which is the length of Air Force One.
So just in the last 2 years, you've tripled.
Yeah, 4 years, I've won 600 people.
When people ask you what was the Recovery Act about, what was the stimulus about, it was about this plant.
The President was so impressed by the Siemens plant, he was still talking about it over some rhubarb pie at Jerry's family restaurant.
2 years ago, they only had 200 people there. Now they got 600. Just in 2 years, they've tripled their workforce.
The President also visited Mogo Organic, a small farm outside Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
This is my cold frame. I got the money to build this.
Can I peek in?
Yeah, it's a little muddy because of the rain.
Okay.
But I got green beans popping up in there.
The President ended the first day of his tour with a town hall in Ottumwa, Iowa.
And these visits are reminders that when you get out into the heartland and you talk to folks, there's a lot to learn from rural America.
On Wednesday, April 28th, President Obama continued the White House to Main Street tour in Missouri and Illinois. He started with a visit to Poet Biorefining in Macon, Missouri, a biofuel production plant. The President then traveled to the Shotzick family farm in Palmyra, Missouri, where the topic of biofuels came up again, this time around the kitchen table.
What we've got to figure out is how do we, and this goes to the point you were making, Walt, is how do we use what we've got here in an effective way? Because we've become so reliant on our economy shipping in billions of dollars of oil every day.
Before heading back to Washington Wednesday night, the President spoke to a crowd in Quincy, Illinois to highlight the need for Wall Street reform.
We're going to get this done. And we're going to get it done because you demand it. It's been 2 years since this crisis, born on Wall Street, slammed into Main Street with its full fury.
On Thursday, April 29th, with the White House flag flying at half-mast, the President, First Lady, the Vice President, and Dr. Biden left for a memorial service at the National Cathedral for Dorothy Height. Dr. Height was a veteran of the Civil Rights Movement and an American hero.
Let us honor her life by changing this country for the better as long as we are blessed to live. May God bless Dr. Dorothy Height and the union that she made more perfect.
On Thursday afternoon, President Obama, Dr. Biden, and Secretary of Education Arnie Duncan continued a tradition dating back to Harry Truman when they welcomed Sarah Brown Wessling, the 2010 Teacher of the Year, to the White House.
You're like the Teacher of the Year.
I know.
That's a pretty big deal.
It is.
We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
And we do this because you're the key to our success in the global economy, preparing our kids to compete at a time when a nation's most valuable currency is the knowledge and skills of its people.
To find out more information on any of these topics or to see complete videos of these events, go to whitehouse.gov. And thanks again for checking out your West Wing Week.
Honor system, you can't afford to. It's an honor system, that's great.
It's hard to sit up there all day long.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, just as long as no members of Congress come by.
Oh, they're an honest bunch.